Om. Sairam, everyone. I wish you all a happy, holy Navaratri. Today being the first day of Navaratri, it is an auspicious way to start our Navaratri festival with a reading of the Sandeha Nivarini and discussing it. I think that's the best prayer that we can do to Swami, who has bestowed on us all this knowledge, to spend the morning of the first day of Navaratri on this, I think is a blessing from Swami. Last week, we were discussing Adhyasa, which is the concept of Maya, which is delusion on delusion, as Swami says. And we spoke about, or we discussed how this world, which is composed of the jada, or this inert material, and the prana, or the life-giving energy, which are both permanent, and how they constitute this entire world. The Purusha and Prakriti is what Swami said, and that's what we discuss in detail to understand why the Prakriti or Jada is also permanent. Even though the forms, which are temporary in nature, keep on changing, the underlying tattvam, or the inert material, is nothing but divine, and it never undergoes any destruction. They exist, but in different forms. But all that is energized by the Purusha, or the prana, or the life-giving energy in this world. And so Swami wanted us to understand these concepts, so that when we look at this world, we will understand that after all, it is a manifestation of the divine in some aspect. I think that's what we discussed, if memory serves. Unfortunately, we did not record the discussions, but I hope if there are any questions or comments on any of those things, we can discuss again today. But we can proceed with the next slide, Sister Kalyani, and we can continue the discussion. Saira.
Bhakta. Yes, Swami. Since Prakriti is formed of Paramatma, it is clear that they are not separate. Now, if both these are the same, which among these is Jiva? Swami. That is exactly the doubt that is tormenting you, my boy. The Jiva is the I consciousness. The Jiva is associated with the limitations of body and senses. But he is the Atma, Jivatma, individualized soul. Yagatma, inner presiding Atma. Chidatma, doer, enjoyer, everything. Bhakta. Again, another word jada is used to mean inert matter, etc. What is this jada? How does it operate? Tell me. Swami. From buddhi to body, all transformations of the Prakriti are jada. This is the unreal, the unconscious, the asat, the achetana. You must take everything that is not sat and chit as jada. In essence, the world is really jada and nothing else. But jada is inseparable from chaitanya, or chit and sat, just as air is inseparable from the atmosphere. Why, it has been said in the Gita in the past that all movable and immovable creation is due to the union of Prakriti and Purusha, Don't you know?
Thank you very much, sister. So this is this we discussed briefly last week as well. Swami is introducing many of the Sanskrit words because I think he would like us to learn these words, because these words are actually not translatable, because each word has a very wide meaning or connotation. And by studying and remembering these words, we will be able to understand further when Swami goes on to describe other principles. So Swami is very clearly talking about the Jivatma, Atma, Pratyatma. The devotee is asking the question, if you are saying there is this Jata and Prakriti and Purusha, where is Jiva in all this? We all say we have a Jiva. So what is Jivatma? And so Swami is going on to explain to him. He still has not touched the Jivatma principle, but he's telling everything from the buddhi to the body, which we ourselves live within. We are using those instruments called buddhi, manas, body, and so on. They are all jada, as Swami said. They are all actually inert. But there is something which enlivens it, energizes it, and that is the Jivatma, or the I consciousness, as Swami says. It's just like any electrical appliances which are by nature don't function, though they are capable. Without electricity which energizes them, they cannot really function. But then what is the relationship between electricity and the equipment, the electrical equipment? If we analyze and think about it, then we will understand it, is my understanding. But I think with those words, I will pause and ask the participants if you would like to share any thoughts, comments. Saira. Okay, Sairam, Sister Kalyan, I think if there's no comments, I think we'll proceed. If there are thoughts, I think people will share subsequent.
Bhakta, then what is the relationship between buddhi and manas on the one hand and atma on the other? Swami, well, really, there is no special relationship between them and the atma. Atma is pure and without blemish. Buddhi too is pure and without blemish. And just as the sun is reflected in a mirror, the splendor of the Atma is reflected in the buddhi. Then the shining Chaitanya of the buddhi is reflected in the manas. The shining of the manas falls upon the senses. The light from the senses falls upon the body. Now, what is the connection between all these? The relationship of all is the splendor of the Atma, is it not? The activity of every other thing is caused by the fact that there is a buddhi which can reflect that splendor, is it not? So, note how the buddhi is related, this side with the Atma and that side with the manas and the indriyas, senses.
Thank you very much, sister. And I think here itself we can see the concept of buddhi. If it's translated into any other word in English, it will not properly explain what it is and what its role is. And generally, buddhi is sometimes understood as intelligence. Sometimes it's understood as discrimination. Sometimes discriminative faculty and so on, or intellect. But Swami goes beyond all that and says buddhi is a mirror which reflects the light of Atma. That light, in the Telugu Swami uses the word bhasa, means it's effulgence. The effulgence of the Atma is reflected on the mirror called buddhi. And from there, it reflects on the mind. The mind, which again operates through then the mind is energized, is enlivened, and then it can function through the antakaranas or indriyas. The indriyas, in turn, are able to make the body function. And Swami says that is the way they are related. And so the Atman is what Swami calls the real source of that light, and to which the Buddhists, on one side, it's related because Buddhi is the one transmits that energy to the jada, the further gross jada material like the mind, the senses, and the organs, and the body. So this is what Swami wants us to properly understand. So the whole idea is, I think, for Swami, for us to understand who we really are. Who are we? The Atman. We are not even the Buddhi, and so on. Saira. Anyone would like to share your thoughts? Please go ahead.
I think we may have already discussed this before, but if you could explain again, like what does Chaitanya mean? Because you know how it says here, the shining Chaitanya of the Buddhi is reflected in the manas.
I think the simplest way we can understand, because the reality that Chaitanya is beyond our concept of the mind itself. You know, after all, we are talking using the mind as the instrument. So the Chaitanya is actually beyond the mind itself. But the example or the analogy which I can give is Chaitanya is nothing but the electricity, which makes everything function. So that's an energy. That is what the mind can understand. But it is much beyond that. That which makes everything enliven is called Chaitanya. To make us alive, if you say our life force, you can call that. But even life force, as we understand, is only with the mind. But it's much beyond that. But that which has created this world is Chaitanya. That which has created, that keeps it functioning. If that is withdrawn, everything will come to a standstill. And that is what I understand as Chaitanya, but I will open it up for others to comment also. Saira.
Sairam, I have a question, Brother Arno. This Chaitanya, even it is in the inert materials as well. Like even in the walls or whatever stones and anything, the Chaitanya is still there, even in the. So then, what is the purpose of that Chaitanya in the inert material, as well as in the creatures, like in the living creatures? How that Chaitanya functions in both aspects? It's because that's shining part. We understand it because through this Chaitanya, it lights. It passing those lights to the buddhi, and buddhi passes to the indriyas and so on. So how does those two aspects work on it here? Sairam.
Sairam, brother. I don't know whether I understood your question properly, because you asked what is the purpose? Why is it even there? Is that the question?
Oh, no. Chaitanya is in both inert materials as well as in the creatures, in the living organisms, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, because in the Chaitanya, when in the living beings, it is shining through that, through these mediaries, the intermediaries, and then passing to indriyas and the body functions kind of thing. But this Chaitanya, if it is in the inert material, what is the function there? I am trying to understand that.
Very good question, brother. So the thing is, this world, for it to function, something needs to keep it alive, going. But so just as much as we think we are important as a human being, even a stone which is on the ground is also equally important. If we identify with the body, our body and the stone on the street is no different. In both, the Chaitanya exists. The way I can analyze it is, if you have electricity, it makes the light come alive, and you see light coming through. If it is a heater, it will just heat. or in a stove, okay, it will just heat. Then if you look at the fan, it will make the fan move. If it's an electric vehicle, it will make the vehicle move on the road. So the thing is, the Chaitanya makes all these function. This entire world functions only because of the Chaitanya. The purpose of Chaitanya is same as it exists in us, as it exists in the stone. There is no difference. There is no higher purpose than that, because this world is continuously going. But then you may ask, then why should we know when the stone doesn't know why it is Chaitanya or Jada? Why, as a human being, we need to understand? I think that may be a very good question. The thing is, Swami would say, they are following their dharma. The stone is a stone, it doesn't go change. But unfortunately, man, because of the instrument of mind, which is given to this part of this creation, it is not being used properly. So the Lord has to come and make us use these instruments in a proper way, so that we will discharge our own dharma. I'm sure God is also helping the stones and the trees and the birds in following their own dharma. But for us, He wants to understand how we control the mind, how we use the mind in a positive manner, rather than making us be degraded into even dukkha, even to be sad and lament. So I think that is the purpose of us understanding, because God is functioning in different varieties and fixing different things in different ways. I'm sure He is liberating the stone also in its own way, but He wants us to liberate us in a different way. So the thing is, so the Chaitanya, which is makes this entire world go around and function, is it has its own purpose of just being as is. That is the Leela of the Lord, is some devotees say. He just makes it happen. And the God who has made it Leela, He is thoroughly happy with the way the world is. But unfortunately, we are not. And so He says, why are you all upset? So just to fix that problem, He is teaching all this, is my understanding. So the Chaitanya in the inert matter and the and people who are alive and the animals who are alive is no different. It just manifests differently. That's my understanding. I'm sorry whether I answered your question or not, but I will open it up for others to comment as well. If you have understood the question any differently and you have some other thoughts to share. Saira.
Sairam, Brother Arno, that's very well explained. I like that idea, because why I wanted to bring this is, there was an incident that when some of those sari Swami were distributing to the devotees, and some of them were left out, so the sari started to, the saris got wet. So because the Chaitanya is already in that, even in the inert materials. Even the other instances, Swami was telling a person, he was washing the walls, and then he was telling him we have to wash them very, very gently, because the Chaitanya is in that inert materials as well. So to make everybody understand that particular concept, I wanted to ask that question. You explained it very well. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. I think that's why Swami wants us to use everything in this world with reverence. The chair, the door, everything in this world, we should use them with reverence, with the total understanding that there's divinity latent. So that becomes a sadhana and the Saira. Thank you. I think Sister Kalyani, we can read on if there are no other comments forthcoming.
Bhakta. Then what is the relation between the jiva, which says I, and the senses and the body? Swami. There is no relation at all. The I is separate from the body, the mind, etc. The I simply superimposes on the jiva, that is, itself, the body consciousness, and the internal behaviors of the mind, etc. I am fair, says the jiva, superimposing upon itself something with which it has no connection. I am dumb, it says, making the same mistake about the senses. It says it has this desire and that, and imposes on itself the activities of the manas, etc. All this is mere superimposition. The basic truth is only one, the Paramatma, the Param Jyoti, supreme effulgence. The eternal, the true, is only one. Understand this well.
Thank you very much, sister. So I think Swami is nicely explaining that who we really are, the Atman or the I principle, is completely separate from everything which is Jada. Because if we have that total understanding, the way we will live will be different, because we will not be affected by anything in this world in a manner which is not conducive for harmonious, happy, and joyous living. And I think that's what Swami is trying to explain to us. I think the only energy which come to my mind is, for example, if I sit in the car and drive, and I suddenly think that I am the car. If the car gets hit, if I say I got hit, we should be able to, if the car is hit, we should be able to open the door and walk out, showing, okay, the car has been damaged. So the same way, actually, we are driving using this body as a vehicle. And we should give it necessary attention, but we should not identify it with it. Just the way we look after a car, if something is wrong with it, we'll repair it, we will make sure that it's not rusted and so on, so that it serves the purpose. Same way, I think we have to use the mind, the body, and the senses. And I think that's what Swami is trying to drive home, so that our journey in this world will be a bit more smoother and positive. Sairam. I will stop here, and I will ask anyone else in the group to share your thoughts, please. Sairam.
Sairam, brother. So the basic truth is only one, that is I.
Yes.
Thank you, Sairam.
That's usually we, for example, if a car is hit, I'll just give the same example. We may be upset to some extent, because we won't be able to use it. But beyond that, we should think our entire life is gone. We should not think, because we are not the car. If the car goes, we can get another car. It can be repaired. So the same way we should think about the body and what we possess also. If something we have, if it's gone, we should not think, okay, I have lost something. Okay, it was there, it is gone. It can be again gathered. It does not really affect me. The me means the Atman is not affected. I think that thinking, Swami wants us to cultivate. And that's why Swami says, understand this well. We should completely understand it. Once we understand, we will not be even upset, we had this, why it's gone. We know this person, but this person is no more. And we are waiting for something to come. Only then we think we are whole. Swami will say, without all that, you are everything. You are the Paramatma, you are the Paranjyoti, you are the true. He wants us to understand it again and again and again. Don't limit us to the body and what we have and what we don't have. I think the Swami wants us to understand it properly, so we live well. Saira. Anyone else would like to share thoughts, please?
So Sairam, brother. So it's a very good explanation that you mentioned about the car. That's what sometimes we spend a lot of money, we clean the car, we modify the car, we attach to the car. When we met with an accident, sometimes they write off. So the people say, you don't need to worry about it. It's thing like a toy. And you are the one important. If you are safe and your life is good. So it's a very good explanation. Thank you, Sairam brother.
Sairam brother. But in this case, there's small difference, because they are also be identified with the body and say we are safe. But in this case, Swami says the Atman is always safe. It will never die. So if it is never going to die, then nothing to worry. You see, in the case of a car and a human person, we are worried, oh, I am going to be dead, I will be gone. Swami says that fear is also wrong. The Atman never dies. So there is absolutely nothing to worry. So I think that's a slight distinction. It's only an analogy. So I think that's what Swami wants us to take away from this. If everything is lost also, you are not lost. If everything is destroyed also, you are not destroyed. Understand that well. If we understand that well, nothing in this world should affect us. I know we intellectually comprehend it, but we have to be able to live it every day. And I think that's what Swami means by understanding it well. Everything which we face in this life, we should just ask, I am the Atman. It is not affecting me. We have to again and again tell. And if we tell that, I think we will always be able to be happy, joyful. Whatever we have, whatever we don't have, doesn't really matter. Sai.
So thank you very much, brother. It's a very good explanation.
Sai.
Just to add a little bit understanding on that is just understanding that who I am, it helps in our, the critical situation. We just step back and say, okay, let me just think who I am. And it just helps. It just makes the situation totally different. You just get detached to that situation because you step back a little bit. I mean, I'm still practicing, but it does help because then you just don't get perpetuated with that situation because you're reminding yourself.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you.
Sairam, I also want to add a point. That's the reason I think the Soham, that mantra, it says, that's a reminder to us, I am God, you are that, I am He. All these, that's the reason Swami still insists on this mantra, I believe. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, Brother Sairam. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Sorry, this is just going back to the previous paragraph, but I know you said it's not possible to translate the meaning of the word buddhi, but if you were able to just explain again just what the buddhi is. Swami's describing it as a mirror. So yeah, I'm trying to understand what is buddhi, like how can we identify it within ourselves? Is it possible to say, this is my buddhi, or what exactly does it do?
I think it's a very good question, sister, because from what Swami has explained, it becomes so clear that buddhi is the fundamental foundation principle on which our whole existence as a human being rests. Okay, if I were to give the same car analogy, the car will not run. Okay, but what happens? The Atman takes the role of a driver. So the driver becomes the most important person in a car. Everything else depends on that. Only if the driver takes the car, the others can get down wherever they want to get down and do whatever they have to. So the same way, the buddhi is the one which makes this body function, the primary force. But this primary force, when it forgets that it is the driver, and that also, if the driver starts looking here and there, the car will not go anywhere. So that is why the role of the buddhi as a representative of the Atman, as a reflection of the Atman, is the most fundamental, foundational principle on which our life has to exist. So that should be given the prime importance in our daily living, is what I understand from that. So Swami says, don't depend on anything else. If you don't even know God, doesn't matter, but depend on buddhi, because buddhi is the representation of the divine. So that is the conduit or the channel through which that energy flows into the rest of the organs in our body, so that we are able to function. If I am able to walk, if I am able to talk, if I am able to do anything at all, the energy from God is only flowing through buddhi. And the buddhi should understand that it is connected on one side to the God or Atman, on the other side to all the senses. If it forgets that it is connected to the divine, then the buddhi itself is not doing its function. So that's why our buddhi also can go in the wrong way. If it goes the wrong way, it becomes a problem. So the buddhi should assert itself, is I think what I understand. But it's the most foundational principle for human existence. This is my understanding, but I will open it up for others to comment, please, and share your thoughts as well, Sai.
So in that example that you gave with the electricity being, I guess, like Atma or Chaitanya is the electricity, and the machine or the equipment is our body and senses, and then so the buddhi, would that be like the wire connecting?
You could say so, yeah. If it is, that is through which the first electricity flows, and the electricity has to flow through something, and I think that is the buddhi, from what I understand.
And if in our own, I guess, our own experience, if we were to say, if we feel that, like that voice of our conscience or the voice of God in our own way, that we feel that, is that the buddhi?
Yes.
Sairam, brother. Can I clarify here something too, please, in regards to buddhi? Buddhi can go on two different directions, only the bad side of it or the good side of it, and that's the discrimination side. So if it's a good side of it, I will say it's a representation of Atma. And Atma is I, then I is related to Paramatma. Is that the way it goes?
Yes, yes, sister.
Thank you, Sai.
That's the understanding, yes. And the proper use of buddhi is also called the buddhi yoga. See, the yoga, how we use buddhi, is very, very important. If it is connected to God, it's called buddhi yoga. And that is a fundamental faculty which we have to cultivate for us to function in this world. That's my understanding, but Saira, it may be limited. Saira.
Sairam, brother, no. This buddhi, can we compare this to the chit, like the awareness? Because the awareness that even though when I was reading these passages, I was wondering why there are instead of passing the current right to the appliance, there is some sort of a different systems here, like a buddhi is there, the manas is there, then only the indriyas, the functions, the body parts of those functions. So the buddhi is because is it acting like an awareness part in the system?
No, brother. The chit, according to my understanding, chit is part of the Atman. It's a function of the Atman. Sat, Chit, Anandam is the function of the Atman. The I consciousness is the chit principle. But the chit principle, for it to operate using this body, it relies primarily on buddhi. So the buddhi derives its energy from chit. Chit is nothing but Chaitanya. That is the life-giving force, which actually is as aspect of the Atman itself. So chit has to be equated with Atman, I, and that flows into buddhi. Buddhi is an organ. As if you go to the previous chapter, previous paragraph of question and answer, Swami says, from buddhi to body, everything is jada. It is inert. But the chit is the chaitanyam, or the consciousness, which energizes the buddhi and then functions. So we should separate chit from the buddhi, is my understanding. But others can comment, please, Saira.
So, Sairam brother, can we compare the buddhi, our bulb, if it is 60 watts or 100 watts, so how that the energy will flow into that when the brightness come to the eye? Thank you, brother.
So, brother, to use that analogy, I think we should, if we start asking too many questions, maybe it will break down. But the analogy itself will break down. But chit is electricity. For the electricity flow, there's a primary, what we call the live wire. Okay, the live wire is the one which can bring the electricity into a bulb. But once you come into a bulb, there are many parts in that bulb. There is, if I don't know, there now we have LED lights, so I'm going to use the tungsten, so there is the tungsten strand which actually emits the light. But for it to come, there has to be the bulb. The bulb consists of the case, the glass case. There's a holder. Then there are things which attach itself to the socket. But there's a live wire which comes. That is the one which transmits the electricity into the bulb. From what I understand, that's why sister, I think, nicely said it's a wire. The live wire which transmits the electricity is buddhi. But so live wire is full of electricity. But the thing is, every other part is like the mind, the senses, the body. The body can be considered the glass shell. Okay, the mind can be, maybe we can say it is the tungsten lamp, which is there. So that analogy doesn't necessarily do justice, but just to illustrate the principle I said. So buddhi is the first thing which transmits that electric energy into the bulb. Live wire, if you want to use that analogy and explain it, but I would rather stop there, because if we cannot really equate every single faculty we have with that. But I thought, sorry about it, Saira.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
It's not an irony, but Swami used the word Param Jyoti. That means supreme effulgence. So the bulb analogy is reasonably good. Okay. But if you say, where is that electricity coming from? We will say, even the electricity to be existent in this world, sun is the source, Paramatma. Without the sun, even the concept of electricity itself doesn't exist in this world. So the Paramatma is there, but individual appliances use some electricity, which is a small aspect. That's the Jivatma. But Jivatma is energized by the Paramatma. So I thought that also, I found it very appealing, Saira. We could go on, Sister Kalyani, if there are not too many comments or questions, Saira.
Bhakta. What a superb teaching, Swami. If only this teaching of the principle of the Atma, which even children can grasp, spreads over the whole world, the world will emerge from darkness to light. Swami, that is the reason why I converse with you about every point and allow all to partake in it. The sun's light falls upon the mirror. The light from the mirror falls upon the bungalow. The light from the bungalow falls upon the eye. Similarly, the Sandeha Nivarini has been decided upon in order that the illumination of my teaching may fall upon the Bhakta mirror and thence onto the Sanatana Sarati bungalow in that order, in order that from there its effulgence may shed light on the peace and harmony of the world.
Sairam, Swami very nicely is talking about it. And while just reading this, I was so touched that, sometimes when we say we think we are only thinking of this and talking, but I was reading it and I was so touched by what Swami is saying. We use the analogy of light and car. And we said Buddhi is the driver. And Swami uses the word Sanatana Sarati. He is the eternal driver. Okay, but also the magazine. And Swami also uses the word light. So the two analogies which we have used is sort of explained further by Swami. So Swami says he is the source of the knowledge, and that knowledge is falling on the bhakta first. And through that process, that conversation goes into what's called Sandeha Nivarini, okay, as a stream of articles. And that article is carried by the Sanatana Sarthi magazine. Okay. Even that Sanatana Sarthi magazine, who is the Sarathi? Swami. Swami only is making it happen. But that contains the message and it's distributing to the entire world, through which process the light of this knowledge will spread far and wide, and anyone who is willing can benefit from that. So as you can see how God operates, Swami has very nicely given through an analogy how the Chaitanyam spreads into this world and grants joy to everyone and grants light so that we can live in a bright manner without being engulfed by the ignorance of darkness. Sai Ram. So I will stop there. I will ask anyone else who would like to share any thoughts. Sai.
Saram, brother, here I didn't a little bit of not understanding. The sun's light falls upon the mirror. The light from the mirror falls upon bungalow. Then the light upon the bungalow falls upon the eye. So this part is okay. But here, the next one, teaching my falls upon the Bhakta's mirror, and down onto the Chaitanya Saradi bungalow. Can you compare both, brother?
Okay, brother. I will attempt based on my. Otherwise, if somebody else can volunteer, I mean, I'm doing too much talking. Anyone else who would like to venture, explain this, please, as you understand? Okay, then I will try, and if others also should share or could share, okay? So the light from the sun, if you hold a mirror, the light will fall. For example, there's a bungalow. Okay, it doesn't have any light, so everything is dark. So what we do is we go outside, the sunlight is falling, we hold a mirror in such a way that the light from the sun goes inside the house. Okay, so that is the buddhi which reflects the light of the sun into the house which is dark. So inside the house we are unable to see anything. So the light falls on the mirror, and if the mirror is positioned in such a way that the light from it's able to receive the light of the sun and also reflect that light onto the inside the bungalow, then our eyes will be able to see the bungalow walls. Okay. So here Swami says Swami has the source of knowledge. So he is the sun. Okay. Then that sun's light has to go somewhere. Okay, to reach all the people. So we are the people inside the bungalow. So what has to happen? A bhakta is needed to reflect that light. The bhakta should be able to face the Lord, and the bhakta also should be able to face the world. Okay. So Swami says, so here the bhakta, so Swami is basically telling, be as mirrors of Swami's light. We should live our life in such a way so that of the mirror which we hold should continuously be exposed to sunlight, and we should be able to reflect that light onto the bungalow, which is the world. So this bhakta receives that light as the mirror, then he reflects that light onto what is called the Sanatana Sarati, which is the bungalow, you can say. Okay, so we are all living inside this bungalow called Sanatana Sarati, this body of knowledge. So the bhakta is the one who is writing on the Sanatana, because Swami is writing and giving it to the, for example, if you take Kasturi as the bhakta, for that matter, Swami will write the article, Swami will give it to Kasturi, Kasturi will bring it and put it on, get it printed on the Sanatana Sarati, and it goes to everyone. So the role of the bhakta is to be a mirror, to reflect the light of God onto this world. If the mirror does not face the sun, the light will not fall on the world. That is why Swami, as an essential principle, should be present in every activity which we take, in spirit and word. Only then we will, because we should never always think we are the mirror. A bhakta is always a mirror. Without the source of light there, without being able to reflect the light, we will not be able to help the world. So that is why I think Swami wants us to be a mirror which reflects the light of God onto this world. Is my understanding. I hope I sort of explained your question. Others can also share your thoughts, please. Saira.
So thank you very much. Now I can understand why did you like this one so much. There's so much of meaning on that one. Thank you, brother.
Actually, we can read this for 1 week and contemplate and see how we should function. Swami has used the word bhakta mirror. So, Swami, that's what Swami wants us to study. I have just told what came to my mind. But I think we all have to think about it. Are we constantly reflecting the light of the sun? Are we constantly facing the sun? Then it becomes buddhi yoga. The mind, buddhi also should reflect God. So everything which we do, I think we should ask, what will Swami want us to do? And that is the nature of the buddhi. Saira.
Brother Aruno, so we talk about buddhi now. We are talking about developing that divine consciousness, that you are that mirror, right? So is it okay to say once you develop that divine consciousness that you are that mirror, you are him in a way, then there is no room for buddhi? Because you're not using that buddhi, the divine consciousness is guiding you further.
So I don't know. It's a good question, sister. I will ask others in the study circle to share their thoughts. Do we need the buddhi after we become the Atman? I think that's what sister is asking. Once we are connected.
Yeah.
Question which she's asking. Am I right, sister?
Yes, brother. Yeah.
Okay. So I will open it up for discussion. Please share your thoughts. I think most people have been silent, so I think I will take a pause and give some rest to myself. Sorry.
For Jivan Mukta, and that person liberated while in the body, he has to have some buddhi in order to, until his end of his life, he has to have that buddhi operating for the good of the world. So once his time is spent, while he discard his body, including the buddhi, he will discard it. And that the whole setup, the whole jada setup will go to its basic elements, and his real self is now one with God. So the Bhakta mirror is very ideal to be compared with the Jivan Mukta mirror. So that is how I understand this one. Thank you, Saira.
So, Saira, this is a very good explanation, whatever Sivadas gave. Until we came to this world and we had, because of the karma. So, in order to do the karma, we have to use the buddhi, manas, everything until you merge with that one. Until that, it's all jada too. Once you merge with the God, then you don't need to have manas or buddhi or anything. You and the body is same. Thank you, Brother Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, brother. Sai Ram, anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, Brother Sivadas Dasan. So, sister, I will also add my 2 cents to this. So, as they said, Brother Sivadas said, as long as the body is there, the buddhi is needed. Okay. The difference between a Jivan Mukta and us human beings, normal human beings, is that our buddhi is not steady. So we have a mirror which we sometimes hold this way, sometimes we change it. Okay, it is not steady. That's the problem. So when we really realize that as long as we exist as a human being, as long as we encase in this body, buddhi is the channel. As long as the bulb has to have light, the live wire is needed. But the difference between a Jivan Mukta and a common man is they have fixed that mirror in such a way that it will never face away from the Lord. So it's permanently fixed. So what happens? The light will always is just a transmitter of the divine energy. In our case, we have to make an effort. Each time we have to take the buddhi and point it to the sun. But if that mirror is permanently fixed, there's no need to move it around. Whatever it only reflects God's light, nothing else. So to become that, so the buddhi is always used. As long as we exist in this body, the buddhi is as a necessary equipment which we have to use. Just the way a car has to have a driver. Even if you say it is an autopilot, the driver will observe and make sure that nothing goes wrong, even if you put it in cruise control. Okay, a plane also can fly, the pilot is there. Even if they say the unmanned car, somebody is observing the car so that there's no accident. So you can say a Jivan Mukta, or one who has come to completely realize, has put everything on auto drive, has the ability, but he's still vigilant and knows that that function is necessary. It can never. So the only thing is, we will not say, oh, this is right, this is wrong, this is permanent, it's impermanent. That is only because our buddhi is not steady. So once you steady it, it will still do its job as a steadied mirror. This is my understanding. I hope that. So we can never say, I don't need to think. We should always be vigilant, even till we die, even if we think we have become God. And that's what Swami himself embodied. He showed us through his example how it is to use the buddhi with the total divine consciousness. Sai Ram, I hope that answers your question. With all of us put together, I think should be okay. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. So we move from effort to align our attitude, our whole demeanor, make effort to reach to effortless, basically. To reach, because autopilot is basically you're reaching to all effortless, where you're just watching that I don't get off the track once you are on the track. So yeah.
Sai Ram, sister. I think there's a comment on the chat box also. Maybe Sister Kalyani can read.
Maybe you can read it because I'm not sure to pronounce the last part there.
Okay, I will read it, sister. It's by Sita Ram. It is the same light, Param Jyoti or I, that is present everywhere. Everything else is only a reflection of that I. If we can see that I in everything around, we are truly the mirrors that Swami is expecting of a bhakta. This answer is the same as the Veda Vakya, Mamaiva Amsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhutha Sanatana. Hope we are all moving towards that. So I will just translate. This is from Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, Mamaiva Amsho, Mama Eva Amsho means I alone exist as an Amsha, as a part. Jiva Loke, in this Jiva Loka, in this world of Jivas, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, as eternal. So I myself exist in each and every living being as an Amsha. So we also have the divinity, a part of divinity in our. It's just like the electric, small electric wire, whenever it's a bulb, has the same energy which comes from the sun. So if God is Paramatma, that energy makes it alive. So the thing is, if we can see that divinity everywhere, so as brother says, if you look at anything, we should be able to see the divinity even within that. That is the holding the mirror towards divinity. If we get to that point, then then we will understand and able to live this principle the way Swami has lived and shown us all. Sai Ram. We'll proceed, sister, to the next paragraph. I think I don't know whether everyone is tired of this too much philosophy or on a Saturday morning, but we will still go on. Sai Ram.
We are
Chapter
contemplating, brother. We are contemplating what you're saying.
Sai Ram.
Chapter 9. Swami. Oh, you have come. Well, what is the news? Bhakta. What other news have we except yours? I heard that your Kerala tour was most pleasant and wonderful. I am sad I was not destined to join. Swami. Why are you sad for it? Listen to the account and be happy, that is all. Have the confidence and the hope that when next such an opportunity presents itself, you may be able to join. Do not be brooding over the past. Bhakta. What is the use of confidence and hope when one is not destined? Hope will only cause greater disappointment.
I think it's a fantastic exchange between. See, Swami thought, how devotees feel long time ago. And the Swami has, this is, I would say, every devotee for eternity should, frame this exchange of Swami, because it tells everything, all that he has told. He's practically how we have to apply Swami's showing. So this Swami said, okay, what's the news? The question itself is a very funny one, because I think Swami knows what is in the mind of the devotee. So he's asking, what is news? Because news relates to the world. So he's asking. It's surprising that Swami asked this question. But then he says, for me, only news is only about you. That's the Bhakta. So Swami is also showing that what is the news which we all should be interested in. Means everything about the Lord is the only thing which we should be interested in. We should not be reading the news about the world. I think that also comes through when I read this. Then he's saying about the Kerala trip with Swami. In the previous chapter, Swami is already talking about going to Kerala. So in this, after the Kerala visit, because what happens when Swami goes physically, there are only so many people who can accompany, and Swami will just pick and choose based on who knows, what is in store for everyone to learn. Everyone can there. So 7 billion people in this world go with Swami. It's not possible, physically not possible. So Swami says, so this devotee is also sad. Many people think, Swami, we never got the chance, we could not be there, we didn't live in Parthi, we didn't have the interaction. This is going to be an eternal thought in people's mind. So why? Even now many people say, we lost the chance, why didn't we get it? Everyone wants us. Then Swami says, don't be sad, because that is not going to help the problem at all. Don't be sad about anything. So he says, listen to the account and be happy. And it's a very fantastic thing. And next, Swami says, have the hope and confidence that you will go next time if you want. You see, don't brood about the past. fantastic in my view, because even if we have accompanied Swami, the person who has accompanied is observing what is going on firsthand. That's all. No other different. Okay, Swami did that. Swami said to somebody. Swami looked at that person. These are the things that person will be see. That's a ringside view of what Swami is doing. But that information, after all, what that person got inside that person's head was just information. Swami did that. Swami looked at. See, here today we can also still listen to the same thing and have the same joy. After all, it's a piece of information. So just because that person got it, I didn't get, that is the wrong way to think according to Swami. Swami says, take it as yours. Take it as information which belongs to you and be happy. Be happy. And if you want a hope for it, nothing wrong. It's a good way to hope also, because that keeps us on the right path, doing the right things. And because that encouragement comes only with hope. Otherwise, we will not even try. Swami says, it can happen to you also. Just work hard. So I think these are things which Swami wants us to take away. If we have this kind of mindset, our life will be bliss. That's all I can say. Saira. Others can share your thoughts, please.
Sairam, brother. I just wanted to understand what is Swami is trying to tell here. Listen to the account and be happy. That is all. I know he's trying to say something also. I'm trying to understand that part. Thank you. Sairam.
See, whenever we find out something, there are many ways we can react. Okay. For example, somebody went to India, saw Swami and came back. Okay. So that information comes to us. There are many ways we can react to that. One thing is to imagine and visualize that situation and think that we are also present and be blissful. Another way to think is, oh, that person got a chance, I didn't get a chance. Why didn't I get a chance? What did he do right? What did I do wrong? That's a different track of reaction. So what Swami says is, listen and be happy. Be happy that you heard. See, if we take the story of Parikshit, Mahabharata, when he was born, he was a child, he was installed and his own grandparents left without talking to him or telling him anything. He lived his life without knowing much about Krishna. And apparently, when he was a king, he used to go everywhere and ask people, what was it like that? What did Krishna do? As a king, he did throughout his life exactly that. He was happy that he heard the stories of Krishna. He didn't sit and brood and think, how come I was not born then? Why was I not present? He never thought. He was just happy listening to the story of Krishna and imagine and that he was also present and enjoyed it. Okay. And because he was such a person, through him, the Bhagavata itself was bestowed on all of us. So here's an example of someone who was not physically present, but he wanted to know the story of Krishna. Oh, this is what Krishna did. And he also felt he was there. He was personally receiving it. Because what happens is, we can see, so about Swami, many people come and speak. People say, Swami did this to me, Swami did that to me. There also we should always train ourselves to think, okay, I was there, okay, imagine that Swami is doing this. And that becomes a meditation. That becomes only contemplation of the Lord. Instead of that, if I say, oh, this person is talking about himself, oh, he got many chances, now he is bragging, what does he think? I don't want to listen to this kind of account. And then I will not even listen. So the right mentality of Shravanam is very, very important, because that is the qualification to get to that point. So even in a normal life, we can see, I am working in a department. I have a job. Somebody else got promoted. Okay. When somebody else got promoted, if I keep on saying, oh, that guy got promoted, what did you do? I am also doing the job. Why am I not promoted? If I go on thinking like that, I will become very, very negative. Even the work which I normally did well, I will not do. How can I be also promoted? Oh, that fellow who did this and he got promoted, very good for him. I will also work hard. That's the right attitude. So this attitude is necessary not only for spiritual growth, even on a human level, in physically in this world, how we succeed all depends on this attitude. Never feel jealous or negative about anyone getting anything and feeling bad that I didn't get it. Be happy that this is possible. I will work. I will work positively. So the same way we should lead our life is what I learned from this. I talked a lot already. I will stop here and I will ask others to share their thoughts. Saira.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Sairam. Swami says that on his birthday time that people are saying, Swami, happy birthday, and thank you, Swami. The Swami says that I say thank you too, but not thanks to me and not depends on all the time on me. Please look into my teaching. Don't love me all the time. Love my teaching too. Then learn my teaching and put into practice. That's the only way to that you are thanks to me. The Swami says that when he say that when the people are saying thanks to Swami, you know. So I'm left a lot of things behind his after his Mahasamadhi, and we have to follow his teaching. That's it. I think that's why I mentioned that account is here. That's the reason. I hope that Swami mentioned it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please? Okay, sister, we will continue. I think that's a half question here, which we didn't discuss. The devotee saying that it's great disappointment when we build up hope. I think we should read the next slide.
Swami, has destiny a shape and a personality so that you can recognize it even before it shows itself? You should not hang on its favor, talking all the time of destiny, destiny. How can that destiny itself fructify without your will and wish, taking practical form as action? Whatever be the destiny, it is essential to continue acting. Karma has to be done, even to attain one's destiny. Bhakta, if one is destined, everything will come of itself, isn't it? Swami, that is a big mistake. If you sit quiet with the fruit in your hand, hoping that its juice will reach the mouth, how can you take it? It is sheer stupidity to complain that destiny denied you the juice without squeezing and swallowing the fruit. Destiny gave the fruit into your hand. Karma alone can make you enjoy it. Karma is the duty. Destiny is the result. Result cannot emerge without action.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you very much. See, Swami very clearly says what is our role in anything. If at all we ever feel sad, and that makes us incapacitated, that we don't do any action, we give up everything, then there's something wrong. And Swami wants us to break free from that attitude. You know, we can always say we don't have the time, we don't have the money, we don't have the health. We never ask the question, what do we have? How can we put it to good use? And then we lament. Even the destiny, as Swami has said, is earned by us through our previous karma, previous actions. Okay. So we cannot blame it on destiny, because the destiny which we have today is an accumulation of our actions in the past. Okay. So understand that that is also a result of past actions. Forget it. Do something today so you can benefit. And I think that's what Swami says. So instead of giving up, blaming it on destiny, without understanding that destiny was brought about our action or inaction in the past, we have to indulge in positive action to get the right destiny which we really hope to achieve. No one else can help. And Swami gives a nice explanation of that we have to at least put the fruit in the mouth for us to enjoy. Sai Ram. I will stop here. Anyone else who would like to share your thoughts, please go.
Bhagawan is trying to say that don't blame destiny, and destiny can be overcome. If you work, it will break. And it is you who, there's a saying, you know, it is you who wrote the destiny on your brow, and it is you who has to wipe the writings on the brow. So, so the destiny is if anybody blames or thinks on destiny, then that means he is not progressing. He can't progress. So never think of destiny as a barrier to your spiritual progress. So does destiny has any form and name, and is it coming to you and saying anything to you? No. If you are not working out, then you will be prey to the destiny. If we are determined to develop your potential, you can, anytime you can. So don't blame any destiny for your any spiritual degradation, spiritual failure, something like that. That's what I was just getting this idea. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, brother.
Yes. Sai Ram, brother. So in the world we think, if you want to achieve in education or some professional, we have the faith, we studying hard, we are not looking at anything, our goal, and we complete the goal, we achieve the goal. But spiritual also a different path. God has given everything, all the power on your body. So you have to, whatever we are studying here, study circle or books or anything, follow that one. When you have the faith and put it in practice, and you will achieve the destiny. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Can I just say, I know I'm going to say what my kids have asked me. So when we said everything is written for you, it's just, you know, you need to work hard, and there is written because of your past karma, and you built on your good karmas. So my daughter asked me, when everything is written, I don't need to work. Let me enjoy my life. So what is an answer for those kids, those who believe in it's there, it's written for you? So why do I need to make all those efforts? Not the spiritual, I'm talking about the world. I'm talking about the kids level.
It's thank you very much, sister. I think I will open it up for anyone in the team to share any thoughts you have on this.
Actually, we have to instill in the children that we have potential within us abundantly, that we cannot underestimate, overestimate our potentiality within us. So we have to tell them that no, don't say that it is, you have it, you have it. You have it in the very core of your being. Use it, get it, use that up and flourish and something like that. No, the children have to instill the faith in the Atma principle within, and it is, and also it may be a superstition to say that destiny cannot be say destiny can be right off, can't be written off. No, so there is a so we actually, that is what everywhere happening now, that even in the Balyas we have to instill the faith in the children that anything that can be done if we have determination and the right attitude towards it. Thank you, Sairam. This is what I can say.
Sairam, brother. Anyone else would like to share? So it's 10:17. Maybe I will share some thoughts, sister, and then we will close if no one else has something to say. I think it's very simple to tell children. Brother Sivadas has already explained, but I will, from a worldly sense, I thought I would share this. So if I have worked and I got some money, I earned some money, and if I have it in my account, and I think, oh, I have money now, I'm not going to work because I am going to just spend it. The reality is, once that money is over, then I will have to earn it again. But at that point in time, I will have to again look for a job, look for something, and again earn it. Then I will earn it and I will finish, and then I will have to go back again. So a person who understands this will continuously work, because then he will have a continuous stream of things coming. In this world, it's a common thing. For example, if you lose a job, you may not be able to find another one. You will have to wait, depend on the economic circumstances. So we don't need to hoard the money. That is not going to solve the problem. What we all should do is continuously keep us engaged in work. So we will be employable. That is a real source of income. That we continually work means an employer will hire a person who has been continuously working. If the employer thinks a person is given to giving up the job, they will not give a job. So the real source of our livelihood is employment, to be working. So a good employee is one who continuously works, knowing very well that is the real source of income. And that is the one which gives us security. So action, again, is the real source of anything in this world. And I think that's what children should learn. And I think the parents have a big role into play, because they should not give the children undue amount of money without them working for it. Because then they get the idea, things come easy. Let us enjoy it as much. So there are some people who think, it's coming in free, let me enjoy it. And when it hits me, I will start working for it. That's the wrong attitude, because then you will not be employable. You will not have the skills to go and earn it. So in spirituality also, whatever we have got now is bonus, because we have come to know Swami. We have all the material from Swami. As if we say, oh, we are already devotees, no problem, he will look after. He will say, when your account is all over, you have to start from scratch. You're back to square one. So work hard. As Brother Rajagopal said, Swami has given us, the teachings. We should all read and understand and work, and every day without fail. The more regular our effort is, the more secure our future in the path of spirituality. And the same way in the worldly sense also, the more we are continuously employed or working, our future is guaranteed. with some job. It doesn't have to be a job which we only like. We should be willing to do any job. So that is, I think, Swami wants us to learn. These are my parting thoughts. If I just pause for about 10 seconds, if anyone has something, please tell. Otherwise, we will close because it's the Navaratri and we all should go and contemplate on what Swami has taught. So I'll pause here for 10 seconds. If anyone has something, please start. I'm not saying that you have to speak on for 10 seconds, but just a pause so that anyone will have an opportunity to say something, and then we'll close. Sai. Okay, Sai Ram, the 10 seconds are up, and I guess everyone is contemplating, as Sister Shivani said. So we all will contemplate what we have learned. We can learn how to practice, and that itself can become the celebration of Navaratri. Swami has nicely started it today for us. May you all enjoy for the next 9 to 10 days everyday thoughts of Mother Sai. With those words, we have closed today's study circle. Sai Ram. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.
Sai Ram.
Thank you, sir.
I wish you all a blessed Navratri.